So, welcome to Thursday. Let me little housekeeping here. There we go. All right. Well, as always, fantastic to see your smiling faces. I'm almost hesitant today to ask for celebrations, success stories, because it's going to be really tough to top what you dropped here on Tuesday. I may still be brave. I don't know. I may try it, but I'm willing to let that one ride. I'm willing to let that one ride for 7 days. We'll come back next Tuesday and see what other fantastic results you guys have created. That was it was an overwhelming can of whoop ass. That's what that was. It was an overwhelming can of whoop ass. And if you can't top it right away, don't even try. Don't even try. Just we're gonna let that ride. But what I do want to do today is put each and every one of you into the hot seat with two things. One should be quick and painless, or even if it's painful, it'll be quick and painful. So that's good. And the second one is going to be, we'll see. It might not be quick. It might not be painless. Here's what I have in mind. And then we'll get to our Q&A, of course, as usual. I think part of the sales process, part of the outreach process, and part of the sales reluctance and part of the outreach reluctance that some folks might be feeling is because you don't have your verbal business card dialed in. That little 10-second door opening phrase that you can use in email, you can use in LinkedIn, you can use on a phone call, you can leave in a voicemail. It's that template that we talk about in the training. Hi, Susan. This is David Newman. I speak to groups of small and solo business owners who want to do a better job with their marketing and grow their business. I'm calling to see if a program like this might be valuable for your members. So the template is, hi, what's your name? This is, right? Not my name is, because my name is sounds like you're a nobody. This is sounds like they should already know who you are. This is your name. I work with target market, specific target market, not humans, not people, but specific target market. So mine was small and solo business owners. Plain English value proposition who want to do a better job with their marketing, and outcome. Outcome in my case would be and grow their business and get more clients and make more money. I could put whatever I want on the end of that and so can you. I'm calling to see if a program like this might be valuable for your members, or I'm reaching out to see if your next conference coming up in October, blah, 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 blah. The call to action is not that important. It's the front half of that, which is the verbal business card. But what I'd like to do is go around and hear from everybody about what's your verbal business card. And then the second thing that we're going to do today is around distinction. Because when I just give you my verbal business card, I sound like every other marketing guy on the planet. By design, I sound like every other marketing guy on the planet. I am not the only person that says, oh, I'll help you with your marketing and you can get more clients. I'll help you with your marketing and you make more money, right? So now we have the distinction conversation. Here's where it might be not necessarily quick and not necessarily painless, but we'll muddle through it for you. I'm going to be a very nice meeting planner, very nice buyer. I'm like a sweetheart. I'm a teddy bear over here. I'm going to say, wow, Jack, that sounds fantastic. In fact, you called at the perfect time because we're looking for speakers right now. In fact, I've just talked to 2 or 3 speakers this morning. I'm just curious, how are you different? So leadership speaker, sales speaker, marketing speaker, real estate speaker, personal empowerment speaker, automotive sales speaker, career speaker, parenting speaker, whatever it is that we do. Oh, I just talked to 3 awesome parenting experts this morning. I'm so glad you called. I got to ask you, how's your program different? Here's what not a good answer sounds like. I'm just like them. I'm just like cheaper. No, no, it's not I'm just like them. It's not I'm cheaper. It's I say, Barbara, I am so glad you asked. So did you spend some time on my website? Maybe yes, maybe no. Are you in front of your computer? Yeah, well, fantastic. Pop over to davidnewman.com. Let me walk you through some things and let me answer your question. So unlike most marketing speakers, I don't believe in marketing for the sake of marketing. I'm just going to give you my spiel here. Unlike most marketing speakers, I don't believe in marketing for the sake of marketing. Everything that we talk about for your group, notice that reframe. Not everything I talk about, me, my program, my keynote, my seminar, my speech, me. Everything we talk about for your group is going to help them with sales-driven marketing, meaning no one's going to leave with a great marketing plan. They're going to leave with a great revenue-generating plan. So I focus exclusively on marketing that makes money. What that means is we're not going to spend a second on branding. And as soon as you say it, people go, oh my God, thank God. We had a branding guy in here. He was a moron. He was an idiot. All our members hated him. And they, oh no, we love branding. We really need branding. I said, Barbara, I got a problem. I'm probably not your guy. Because frankly, I hate branding. And my audiences that realize that most branding is smoke, mirrors, and BS, and it's not going to make them money. So again, you have to be polarizing. You have to stand for something and you have to stand against something in these distinction type statements. So what's your manifesto? What's your mantra? What do you believe? What do you believe in? What do you not believe in when it comes to your topic? So I would just continue this for another minute or two. I would say we're not going to spend a second talking on branding. They're going to leave not with a marketing plan. They're going to leave with a revenue acceleration plan. They're going to leave knowing exactly how their marketing activities can start to ring the cash register. Does that sound like something they'd be excited about? Again, my entire spiel here is them, they, your conference, your meeting, your association, your members, your company, your employees, you. I'm spending all of my distinction talking about them and what they get and what they don't get and what they don't need and what they don't want, but what they do get and what they do need and what they do want and the results and outcomes of me coming in to do a program. So she's going to say, oh my God, David, that would be fantastic. That would be great. I said, Susan, let me ask you. We're doing the whole sales conversation here for you guys because why not? Give me a quick sketch of some speakers that you brought in before who were not all that well received by your group. And I don't need names. I always am very specific that I don't need names, although sometimes they give me names, and that's kind of funny because I know some of these people. I don't need names, but just what type of topic, what type of program did not really land well with this group in the past. Oh, we had a guy, he came in on talking about social media. It was all theory. It was all jargon. It was all buzzwords. No one understood a word of what he was saying. So now I've got a data point. The rest of my conversation, no buzzwords, no jargon, no BS. We're not going to confuse people. We're not going to show people how smart I am. We're going to show people how much money they can make. Okay, good. Now, Susan, let me ask you, and I apologize to our Susans in here, but that's my generic client name. We should change it to Barbara. I think there's no Barbaras in here right now. So Barbara, give me a quick sketch of some speakers who were very well received and who did a great job for your group. And why do you think that is? Oh man, we had Judy Ivy in here. She was a total home run. I mean, I'm not, she's probably more expensive than you, David, but still, man, she just totally crushed it. And I'll tell you why. It was specific. It was actionable. She used humor and people loved her. She got a ton of business out of our audience. Okay, so now I know, okay, humor, specific, actionable. So I'm taking all the negative stuff that they hated from the bad guys and the bad gals, and I'm taking all the positives that she's listing from the good guys and the good gals, and guess what? The rest of my sales conversation is going to be shaped around those two things. I'm all about the yes, I'm nothing about the no, right? I'm moving her towards, I am much more like the speakers that you love, and I am much less like the speakers that you hate. And then, but the main point of this exercise, we're going to do 2 rounds of this. Round 1 is going to be your verbal business card. I work with blank who want outcome and result. Very simple statement, 3 blanks to fill in. I work with blank who want outcome and result. And then we're going to do another round, and we're going to say, oh my gosh, Susan Murphy, that sounds fantastic. But I'm talking to a couple of other people. How is your program different? Cash, I'm so glad you called. We're talking to a couple other people. How is your program different? Leonard, I am so glad you called. Tell me a little bit about how your program's different, because I got two other car guys I just talked to this morning. Now, again, that's not a threat. That's not a threat. That's a buying signal. They're like, dude, I'm ready. Pitch me. Let me know what's your awesome sauce. How are you better, faster, cooler, smarter? What do you bring that the other guys don't bring? Right? What's your magic beans? What's your silver bullets? Give me the scoop. And a lot of people bristle with, well, how is your program? Well, it's me. I'm awesome. Don't you know? It's you're talking to me. I'm great. Okay. So we're all great in our living room. We're all great, in the shower in the morning. It's like, I'm great. When you're talking to a buyer, you better have a good answer for that, right? And again, I never knock my competition. We're talking to David Avrin and Heather Lutzy and Scott Messer. I said, you know what? David and Scott are both good friends of mine. I love those guys. Let me tell you how my program is different, right? That's all we're saying. We're not saying it's better. We're not saying the other folks are dummies. We're not denigrating or knocking anyone else's program or any other speaker that name they might mention. What we're saying is, those guys are awesome. Let me tell you how I'm different. You guys up for that challenge? We shall see. Yeah, Jack's like, no way, man. I'm out. Forget it. All right. So good. Who'd like to go first? Who would like to go? And all we're doing in the round 1, just to clarify, is it's going to be an email, a LinkedIn message, a voice message. All I want to hear is, hi, David. This is, fill in your name. That part's easy. Hi, David. This is your name. I work with specific set of buyers who want outcome and result. And that's the template that's all the way back in module 2, I think. Nicolle, you want to go first?
Sure. Get it over with.
Fantastic. and then you can sit back, relax, and learn from everyone else.
Hi, my name is Nicolle DeSarette, and I work with teams and leaders who want to improve the health of their employees so that your workplace environment is more productive.
Okay, that was a solid performance there. The only change, and I think I put this in when you submitted the help desk ticket, you said teams and organizations. I would change that to leaders and teams. Did you say leaders and teams?
I said leaders and teams.
I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like reading it based on what it's like. Oh, sure. So even though you said the right words, awesome. Good job. Yay. Yeah. Who'd like to go next? Let's go to Rocco. And we have to get you unmuted.
Got me?
You got it.
All right. Hi, David. This is Rocco Luisi. I work with family businesses and other closely held companies to prevent their businesses from breaking up.
Okay. Really great. Little tweak of improvement. You don't need to say and other, lose the word other. It's family businesses and closely held.
Well, the reason I said other is because family businesses are closely held typically.
Sure. Well, so do you want to you want to make this as streamlined and as efficient as possible. I guess my question is simply, knowing your target market the way you do you need both halves of that, or would one cover both?
I think I need both, but I
cool.
think if I lose other, I think that wouldn't be a problem.
Okay. Either way, it's just, it's about making it super short, super concise, super conversational. And, the main thing is to open the dialogue, and the fewer words that we use in that, the better, because now we get to the most important part of the conversation or the email exchange or the LinkedIn connection, which is, I want them talking to me, right? I want them talking to you. So great. Very, very well done. Who'd like to go next? Either verbal. Kip wants to do a verbal business card.
You hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Hi, David. This is Kip Backscheider. I work with leaders and businesses that want to leverage their employee strengths and gain market dominance.
So Kip, am I remembering this correctly from our previous conversation? It's mostly mid-market companies, or is it big giant corporations as well?
Either.
Either.
I haven't made that distinction.
So would you agree that talent development is kind of a different ball game at the Fortune 500 level than it is at the mid-market level?
Yes.
Do you like one more than the other?
To that extent, I would say probably more mid-market.
Okay. So here's the beauty of this verbal business card exercise, which is exactly what Kip and I are just engaging in right now. If your strategy is not clear, your verbal business card's not going to be clear. It's almost like a strategy check. Like, do you really know who you are? Do you really know what you do? Do you really know how awesome this is? Because if that's clear, so what I would say is I work with leaders and either owners and leaders, because usually a mid-market company would be owner-led, not always, but owners and leaders of mid-market firms who want, right? So that now is super specific. The beginning of that was very broad, very open, almost like people. You know, when you say, yeah, leaders as well, everyone might consider themselves a leader. What kind of leader? What kind of company? What size? What's the DNA marker? You know, who should I introduce you to? When you say mid-market owners and leaders, or owners and leaders of mid-market companies who want outcome and result, I go, man, I got 3 people to tee you up with right now, because I immediately get a picture of someone's head. I get an immediate picture of someone's face, rather, in my mind. And now it's like, Kip, you got to talk to this guy. You got to speak to her. And I'm on the board of this mid-market manufacturing association. Would that be a good connection for you? Yes, it would.
Got it.
That's the kind of reaction that you want to stimulate.
Okay, got it.
Well done. Really great. Who'd like to go next? Just with the verbal business card part of this. Even if you're, this is a great place to experiment, by the way. So if you're playing with a couple of different strategies and you're not sure, do I go this way? Do I go that way? Verbal business card is the quickest, fastest test. Rad, you want to go?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Okay. Hey, David. I'm Rad Watkins, and I'm a keynote leadership speaker who works with organizations so they bring the best of their teams forward to create teams of leaders with engaged employees and loyal clients.
Okay. The first half of that I was loving. And then I started hearing Charlie Brown's Teacher, where it got into wah, 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 wah. Too many $5 words.
Shorter?
So it's almost, well, you almost had me at hello. You could almost cut it in half and just say, stop.
Okay.
Because then the next question is, well, Rad, that's fantastic. How do you do that? Right? So what you said was keynote speaker, and what was the second half of that?
I am a keynote leadership speaker who works with organizations.
Okay, so keynote leadership speaker, I now know how to use him, right?
Yep.
I'm not crazy about labeling yourself about I'm a, right?
Okay.
It's I work with, but if you want to get more speaking, if you introduce yourself as I'm a keynote leadership speaker, I'm thinking, well, where do I need a leadership keynote? Use that in my company, use that in my nonprofit, use that in the board that I sit on, right? So it is a very specific how I can use you. Towards the end, it just got to, how can we boil that down, that outcome statement, to maybe 5 words or less?
Yeah.
Or let's just go through it again, and I'll stop you where I hear the period.
Okay. I'm a keynote leadership speaker who works with organizations so they can create teams of leaders, something like that. More, you want me to read the whole thing?
Well, read the whole thing. We're not going to use the whole thing, but there were some good bits in there.
Okay. I'm a keynote leadership speaker who works with organizations so they bring the best of their teams forward to create teams of leaders with engaged employees and loyal clients.
Okay. So I would use the verb boost, and I would say boost leadership capacity and team performance. That's it. That's all you do. That's 5 words. I win. I win the prize.
You win.
I win the prize. So, right, boost, leadership. What did I say?
capacity.
Thank you. Boost leadership capacity, meaning bench strength, succession, leadership pipeline, bring forward the next generation of leaders. The beauty of these statements, when they really work, they are specific yet broadly applicable. So
Yes.
if I'm managing a whole bunch of Gen Y, Gen Z people, and I'm like, oh, these kids can't lead. We're going to have a talent shortage in the middle of our organization. None of these kids is promotable, right? Leadership capacity, ding, ding, ding. Oh my God, we're low on that. Okay. Leadership capacity and team performance, right? Team performance is culture, it's engagement, it's get your ass in gear, it's productivity, it's all this thing. So if you can high level label, look, there's no higher level label than what I put on what I do, right? Do a better job with your marketing. Couldn't really get a whole lot more generic than that. But someone goes, oh, I really hate social media. Social media makes me crazy. Oh, you can help me do a better job with my marketing? I don't need to say social media, online, offline, speaking, coaching, training, consulting, online courses. I don't need the laundry list. I just say, here's the umbrella. And they go, oh, is there any possible way you could help me stop wasting hours and hours and hours of my life on social media?
Yeah.
It should be yes. You shouldn't be on social media at all. Social media is a huge waste of time for you.
I have a quick question.
I love you. So that's the reaction that you want.
So this might apply to other people with, I'm planning on targeting HR employees right now, just because I think that's a kind of good way in, and it gives me something to focus on, and then I can kind of see which niche picks me the most. So, and I've worked with a couple HR people before. So I wanted to embed words that are their buzzwords. That's why like employee engagement is attractive to me. They're really into that right now. Is that true for, but it sounds like that gets too wordy. You've kind of slapped my wrist a couple of times, not trying to put in jargon in my marketing stuff, which I appreciate. And that's probably applies to other people too. I bet other people might be looking for those buzzwords in their field. Should we stay? So
here's the deal. The buzzword, if your language is their language, and that's what a buzzword means, right? It's proprietary language for a specific profession or industry. I would still never lead with the buzzword. I would always lead with plain English.
Okay.
And then the next part of the conversation, maybe even the next sentence that comes out of your mouth is, well, David, most HR leaders like you are concerned with employee recruiting, retention, engagement, succession planning, and building a culture of excellence. If that's some bullshit words that they use, it is, because I've been in that world.
Yeah.
So which of those 5 is most important to you? So now you're giving them 5 buzzwords to pick from. They say, oh, rad, we have a big engagement campaign going now. This is super critical. The succession stuff is not that important, but man, we are all about engagement. Because you gave them a choice of 5 things, and basically all 5 of these things are, they'd have to be an idiot not to want at least one of them. Mm-hmm. You're hedging your bets. But this is exactly what I'm talking about, that it's super specific, yet broadly applicable.
I love it.
The problem is having broad language that's broadly applicable, and it sounds like it's just wishy-washy nonsense for nobody.
Gotcha.
You want it to be super specific, but broadly applicable.
That makes sense. Thank you so much.
And that's the magic combination that makes them lean forward and go, ooh, tell me more about that. How does that work? Can you help us with our engagement? Can you help us with our corporate culture? Can you help us with our succession planning? And I would never put in the verbal business card succession planning, corporate culture, and employee engagement, and a culture of excellence. Because now you sound like a billboard.
Yeah.
Right? If you want to talk jargon with me, like marketing jargon, I can PPC your SEO out the yin-yang so fast that your CPM is going to go totally through the roof, and you're going to have CLV like you'd never seen before, customer lifetime value. I can't even think in acronyms fast enough to throw the acronyms out at you guys. So we can all talk geek when it comes to our topic, but that's not where the verbal business card really shines.
Makes sense. Thanks.
Yeah. All right. So let's see. Gary says, pick me, just like in 3rd grade. So we're doing pick me. So Gary, go ahead.
Thanks, David. Good morning.
Good morning.
Let's see. I'm in Central Time, so it's good morning from me.
Indeed.
Here we go. And what I'm trying to evoke is this response. How do you do that?
That's right.
Here I go. I help companies build leaders and positive, profitable work cultures all day long.
Okay, I like the all day long because that makes it kind of down home vernacular. Same question as with Kip. What type of company would be a perfect fit for you?
A company that wants to spend money on their people.
Okay, so we talk about this in Module 1, right? Module 1, there's backwards facing, kind of hindsight indicators. They want to spend money. They love me. They love writing David Newman checks. Well, okay, yes, except you don't know that until after they've bought. So that's a hindsight DNA marker. Where they show up on your prospecting radar, we don't have any of that data. So what do they look like from the outside before you get in? Yes, of course, they love you. Yes, of course, they love spending money with you. But is it going to be a mid-sized company, big company, certain industry, manufacturing company, technology company, pharmaceutical company? Any DNA markers that you would tag as, I love these guys?
Well, it's not about they want to give me money. There's two groups of organizations out there. There are organizations that don't want to spend money on their people and are afraid that they'll spend money.
Oh, no, true. So they have a culture of investing in their people. I totally get that.
So it's companies that will invest in their people. And
that makes sense.
I'm too old and been at this too long to try to convince somebody that they need to spend money on their people.
Totally right. So that I get. I apologize for the mix-up. Is there anything that we can make more specific around that leaders and teams on the front part of that?
Well, since I don't know necessarily who I'm talking to, what size organization, what size industry they're in, I really don't want to limit that because I've worked with the Department of Defense, and then I've worked with an organization, an insurance company that has 6 employees.
Right.
Because culture is culture, and you need to build culture regardless of industry, regardless of
for
size
sure.
of organization.
Now, do you generally sell this to the top?
Yeah, I'm talking to VPs of operations. I'm talking to plant managers. I'm talking to sometimes CEOs, but
Fantastic.
oftentimes.
Here's the specific but broadly applicable for you.
Yeah.
Right. It's not leaders and teams because the guy that's the nighttime shift cashier or supervisor thinks he's a leader. This is senior executives. I work with senior executives who want. So when you say VP, COO, C-level people, top people, automatically I work with senior executives. Okay, you're a senior guy. This must be important. This must be, we're not going to send you down to, little Susie cream cheese in purchasing. You need to talk to the C-level person or the VP level person to have a meaningful conversation about how you can help them. So even that makes that verbal business card much stronger.
Okay, I work with senior executives who want to build leaders and positive, profitable work cultures.
Did you say positive, profitable?
Yeah. Don't like it?
It just doesn't roll off the tongue.
You're right, because it's 2 P's in a row. So
it's 2 P's.
You got to pause. Well, you got to pause between them, or you get tied up.
That's right, and you kind of start to trip over it. I like the meaning and the essence of that. How about again things? I like action words like enhance, skyrocket, maximize, boost. How about that? Maximize both productivity. Is it productivity? Is the first one or no?
Positive and profitable.
I'm sorry. So how about maximize positivity in maximize profitability in a positive way or in a positive environment. So we're not doing Amazon where people are crying at their desk, because Amazon's really good at maximizing profitability. They're great at it. But the culture is a meat grinder, and people quit and they cry, and they're crying at their desk because of all the pressure and all the craziness and all the toxic management energy. So that's a great example is, and again, it's every couple months, it's going to be some other example that pops up in the news. A few months ago, I would have said, for example, Amazon is great at this and they're not so great at that. And that's the kind of train wreck and PR disaster that we try and prevent.
Okay.
So you can just have some fun with those, connect up the positivity with the profitability. Another thing, by the way, another construct that might be really valuable for maybe a lot of people is sometimes two things that you deliver seem at odds with each other.
Right.
So you can say, while increasing this without increasing that, right? It's the old kind of X without Y, X benefit without Y problem. How to make more money while not working any more hours. Oh man, yeah, sign me up for that, right? So it's an increase in this with that positive, increase in positive without the corresponding increase in negative, or this plus that, and maybe those two things are diametrically opposed. So I had a guy that I worked with a few years ago. He was in banking, and he worked with both the retail side of the bank and the lending side of the bank. Now, again, you have to know your target market. Most banks focus, even though they have both, they focus on lending as their profit center, and retail deposits are a necessary evil. And some banks are kind of consumer banks, and they really focus on getting deposits. If they make a loan or do a mortgage, that's nice, that's bonus, that's not really their focus. This guy said, I work with bankers and financial institutions who want to boost both deposits and lending. And every bank CEO dropped their coffee and said, dude, we got to talk, because we suck at that. Or we're awesome over here and we're totally a train wreck over here. And you're saying you can help me do both and bring both of these up to par? And yes, and that's what he did. That wasn't a revolutionary statement to anyone other than 100% of his target market. And they're like, wow, that's the secret sauce in that business, is how do we boost both deposits and lending? In some cases, it might be, how do you increase A without the negative consequence B? So if that construct is helpful for some people, I think, Gary, you're on a good path, but I think for other people, that other construct might be even more useful.
Well, I can turn that around. I work with senior executives who want to maximize profitability while they're building a positive work culture.
Or without sacrificing positivity.
Without sacrificing. Okay, I like that even better.
Right? You want to have a positive work culture, best place to work in America, magnet for top talent, et cetera, et cetera. You don't want to be known as a toxic cesspool meat grinder like Amazon. I'm not sure how much brand damage I'm doing to Amazon right now, but it's pretty significant, even though I'm an Amazon Prime member and I would never think of going anywhere else. But as an employer, no way.
I hear you. I hear you. Yeah.
Get the hell out as fast as you can. Come work for Do It Marketing. Okay. So John, you had your hand raised. Go ahead.
Okay. Thanks.
You're welcome.
All right, David. So I'm a constant ongoing work in progress here. So my latest one, after listening to your stuff and ideas and thoughts, is I build the next generation of technology leaders who want to excel professionally, thrive personally, and live intentionally.
So here's the challenge with working on this too much.
Yeah.
If you work on it too much, it literally looks like a bumper sticker or the ad on the side of a bus, right? Where it sounds poetic. So, but I'll tell you where that comes into play, right? So one of my sound bites that I almost never say out loud, because there's stuff that we say spoken and there's stuff we put down written.
Sure.
Stuff that I put down written is I help speakers and experts generate more leads, better prospects, and bigger sales.
Okay.
And that's got that kind of poetic, trio. It's got the rhythm. It's got the group of three. It all sounds fantastic. On the website, awesome. Okay. On the one sheet, fantastic. Would I ever say that out loud to another human being? Probably not, because it sounds too slick. Okay. It sounds too polished. It sounds like, that guy just dropped a slogan on me, just dropped a tagline on me. So it's not that the verbal business card needs to be inarticulate. It just needs to be plain English, like you're having coffee with a friend. So imagine if you're literally having coffee with a friend, or having a bourbon with a friend like you and I did in Baltimore.
Right.
And would you say that to me
No.
in the Marriott waterfront bar without me going,
Exactly. Okay.
right? Spit take, there's bourbon all over the place. It's terrible. So it needs to be believable, credible, approachable, plain English. Now, that other stuff in written material, fantastic. I would say even later in a sales conversation,
Right.
you say, you know, what my clients tell me is after I come in and do a program, I help them with 3 things. And again, you have to almost de-slick it. You have to de-fancy it. At the end of the day, they get more leads by far. They get more leads. See how I screwed that up? I kind of like the little e. They get more leads. They get way better prospects. They really increase their chances at bat, and they get bigger sales. They just get bigger, better deals faster. Do you think your members might want something like that? Oh my God. So what I've taken is my slick written sound bite.
Right.
For more leads, better prospects, bigger sales. Boom, boom, boom. More, better, bigger. Yeah, wow, guy's a marketing genius. I would never say that in a conversation because it sounds like I'm trying to be a marketing genius. You guys are all going to be marketing geniuses without sounding like one. It's called the stealth marketing genius. So you'll get them to say yes, you'll get the check, and then you're like, okay, they think that's the first time those words have left my mouth. And it's actually the 500th time those words have left your mouth, but it doesn't come across as like a slogan or a jingle.
So when I'm talking to somebody, what I would say is I help young leaders cut through the noise, mess, chaos, and confusion of this world and live lives that are full of excellence, personally and professionally. Still
Better, but I would even still tighten that up.
Okay.
You know, and so cut through what noise and confusion specifically?
Because there's so much junk and mess in the social media world, and there's so many people that are out there spewing so much stuff that they don't know anything about.
Okay.
They need voices of truth to help them make better, more informed decisions, more correct decisions, little things like communication.
Okay.
Little things like that. And it's really geared towards that young leader that hasn't had years of executive experience, that person that's, 25 to 35, that's starting their professional career, that's saying, hey, I am now thrown in this position of leader. I don't know what to do.
Okay. So I would go down, and again, this isn't the final, but I'll throw it out here and you can polish it and make it a lot better. Something like I work with young leaders, or I work with companies who have young leaders who want to, because again, the young leader is not your buyer, it's the executive who's the buyer.
Right.
But young leaders who want to, what did you say, cut through the noise?
Yeah, I usually use cut through the noise, mess, chaos, and crap.
Okay, so I would just say cut through the tsunami of conflicting information that's being thrown at them 24/7, find their inner leader, and do a much better job.
Cut through the tsunami of information
That's being thrown at their heads 24/7.
Okay.
Become a much better a much better leader and do a much better job, or get much faster results.
Yeah, and I also use
the cutting through the maze, finding your own leadership style, and thus delivering much better.
Yeah, and I used to use one that was cutting through the flood of information, turning it into a fountain of wisdom.
Okay, but again, that's that clever turn of phrase, getting to that without seeming overly clever. Because here's what you don't, the whole thing around the conversation, this door opening conversation, is to open the door, and when we say slick stuff that sounds like it's overhyped marketing stuff, the door tends to close pretty quick.
Okay.
So they're like, oh God, another one of these guys.
So I got to take all the stuff you're doing and not actually do it, but do it.
Well, don't
overdo it.
Plain English, right? And we've talked about this lots of times.
Sure.
Talk prospect language about prospect problems.
Sure.
So prospect language always wins the day. So if you've ever heard a prospect say what you just said, then you can ignore my advice.
No,
and I'm
you're
wrong.
Right on the money. I appreciate it.
Okay.
All right.
Because people say, we help our cultures of sustainable excellence and forward thinking and and like, wow, dude, are you
anybody buy for
in the lobby? Right. So it's plain English, prospect language. We're on their wavelength, and then they go, oh, no one has ever read a billboard, and after reading a billboard, someone says, wow, tell me more.
Right.
Right? You're having a human-to-human conversation. They go, wow, that's cool. Tell me, how does that work? What does that involve? How do we get some of that?
Good.
All right.
Cool.
Excellent.
Thank you, sir.
Let's do one or two more, and then we'll switch over to distinction. Dena wants to go. Go ahead.
Hi, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. Normally Jack handles the technology. Okay. So this was actually perfect timing. So ours is, hi David, this is Dena. We work with financial services and insurance companies who want to boost their new recruits' sales performance so that they don't wash out. I'm calling to see if a program like this would be of interest to you.
That's just about perfect. Just about perfect. Because it's plain English, right? New recruit sales. And again, if you guys know anything about financial services, that's just a total revolving door. What's the number? Like 20% make it past the first year?
Yeah.
It's
with
super low. I mean, they're always
20%.
in financial services and insurance. It's constant hiring. And frankly, it's constant mishiring because they bring in the wrong people. They try and train them up. They flame out after 3 months and they're out, right? Because you eat what you kill. So for that kind of buyer, for that industry, this immediately goes right for the jugular. Go, do you have this problem? It's like, yes, I have this problem. And the so that statement is also a huge keeper, right? So that they don't wash out. It's like, oh my God, how many more washout sales hires do I have to go through? Well, how about if the answer was like very few? Instead of very many, which is what it is now, how about very few? And I'm even hesitant to say none, but let's just take it from very many to very few. And that's what they want. That's what they're buying when they hire you guys.
Now, I just want to test with you because the tricky part here is, our goal is that Jack is so busy that I'm the one holding the fort, doing the outreach and whatnot. So we were wrestling with, do I say, oh, I work with a sales trainer, or is it sounds like it's okay that I just say, this is Dena, we work with, and just get right to the point.
It's you on behalf of the company, right? Our company works with.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Really good job. And again, this is the simplicity on the other side of complexity. It's not like these guys sat up one night and kind of jotted this on a napkin and go, yeah, I guess that's it. I mean, this is about winnowing down, sharpening the strategy, really making some decisions so that this comes out like a beacon, like a lighthouse going for your prospects that have that specific problem. You show up at this super 10 million megawatt lighthouse, and talking about John's metaphor, you totally cut through the noise and cut through the fog because that's exactly what they've been searching for. Really good. All right. Does anyone else dying to share their verbal business card before we move on? Sylvia is dying to share her verbal business card. Go ahead. We just got to get you unmuted.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Good to see you.
Okay. So, hi, my name is Sylvia Nissenboim, and I work with owners and leaders of progressive elder care communities who want to boost staff retention along with their bottom line, and I don't know if that's in or out, to create a healthier and happier work environment.
Okay. B-. Let's fix it.
Yes.
The first word needs to be just leading, right? Leading. What kind of facilities?
Elder care communities.
Perfect. Right. Leading elder. So you work with the top. You work with the alpha dogs. And if you're talking to a not alpha dog, they want to buy what the alpha dogs buy. So we always work with the leading blank. And then give me the rest of it.
Who want to boost staff retention and create a healthier and happier work environment. So I had in there boost staff retention and also their bottom line. And then as you were talking to the previous people, yeah, right. Okay.
You got it, right. The short version is the right version. Because again, if you're talking to someone in the know, they know what that retention problem is costing them. So you don't need to, you don't need to stack everything in that one thing. Yeah, that's really strong now. That's really good. I like that a lot. So Christy, Christy, you wanted to pop in as well?
I'm here.
Yeah. Do you want to lay on your verbal business card?
I'm going to give it a try. Hi, David. This is Christy Stocker. I work with leaders in the financial and insurance industry who want to create energized team culture that top talent will flock to and develops highly engaged, productive employees.
Okay, another case of less is more, but that's okay. So given what we've already heard from other people and some of these kind of guidelines, is there a way to sort of simplify that or tighten it up to make it either more concise or more vernacular?
Probably. I mean, I've got about 3 different versions, and the one was I work with leaders in the financial and insurance industry who want to create energizing team harmony to develop engaged, productive employees and attract top talent. But that's still probably a little bit
right. Have you ever heard one of your buyers use the word harmony?
That's why I didn't tell you the first one, because nobody really uses harmony. So
right.
That's why I didn't.
I didn't want to get yelled at.
I didn't want to
get beat up. Okay, fair enough. So this is what I was talking about with John at the bar, right? If it would cause you to do a spit take, like you'd be like, so you're having coffee with a friend or a bourbon with a friend. Imagine yourself in a bar or a coffee shop. Would you say that out loud? If the answer is, oh, no, that kind of feels weird. Nah, that's not, right? Then it's not a good verbal business card. The verbal business card is you at your best, plain English, talking about what you do and who you help. Boom. It's not jargony, it's not markety, it's not glitzy, it's not consultant speak. It's really plain English. But now,
do I have to state the market, financial and insurance industry?
If that's your market, the more specific, the better. Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, so when I say, here's what happens, and I want to acknowledge this right now so that you guys don't have this little crazy fear in your head. When I say I work with small and solo business owners who want, and I'm at some networking event, I'm at some holiday party, I'm at some picnic, and someone's there and they pull out their business card and it says IBM. I go, oh shit, I just lost some business. This IBM person could have hired me for something that I don't like and don't do, to come in and work with people that I don't work with. That is totally not my expertise. But man, this is a big corporate guy and I just shot myself in the foot by saying small and solo. I never feel that way. I absolutely never feel that way. So when Christy's talking to someone and she's at some financial services conference and it turns out that guy owns a trucking company and that trucking company could probably use what Christy does, here's what happens. If you're a fit for the rest of the value prop, what the person's going to say is, Christy, wow, that sounds amazing. Now, I'll tell you, I don't work in financial services. I own a trucking company. But we need that too. Is there any possible chance that you might work with a trucking company? I know it's not what you said that you did right there, but man, we'd love to bring you in. So when you're specific like that, and you're talking to someone who's outside of your niche, but the value prop, the end result is compelling, they will jump over the fence. They will say, oh my God, could you please, could I pay you extra and you come work with my trucking company, even though you only work in financial services and banking? So the soundbite is target what you want, starting with the verbal business card, target what you want. And you can always take what comes. I'm not saying turn down checks and turn away business when they come to you. I'm saying don't try and attract anyone, anytime, for anything, anywhere, at any fee, because that's not going to work. When you're specific, specificity, here's the halo effect around specificity. Specificity means that you're the drop dead expert. Specificity means that you're more expensive. Specificity means you must be really, really good at what you do. You must be the cream of the crop. Specificity has this awesome halo effect around everything that you do. You must know what you're doing. It must be expensive. It must be worth it. This person's a true specialist. They're not hedging their bets. They've done this for years. They have a ton of experience, I'm sure. Even if you don't. The fact that you're so laser specific, right? I mean, I've walked into these crazy niche industries and people are asking me, wow, dude, this program is so valuable. How long have you worked in our industry? And my answer is I haven't worked in your industry a single day in my life, but I studied, I customized the program, and that's why we're talking today. So with zero experience, right, if you're a master of your topic, don't worry about, well, you know, blah, 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 blah. Specific, broadly applicable. If they want some, they will jump over the fence. You're not sacrificing anything other than your own clarity if you don't do this. If you don't do this, then we get screwed up about where we should be spending our marketing time, selling time, outreach time, and relationship building time. All right, and we don't need to hear from everybody on this next one, but let's just say that you've had that door opening conversation. My comeback to each of you is, oh my God, Lisette, Bob, Kip, Wendy, that's fantastic. I just had a couple, it's speaker booking time. We're getting ready to book our thing for September. I am so glad you called. In fact, this morning I talked to 3 other people who do what you do. So tell me about your program. How is your program different? And let's see what you have to say about that. And again, it's not going to be an essay. It's not going to be a mini speech. We don't need to hear your keynote here to get a good answer to that. But, 2 or 3 talking points. How are you different, better, faster, smarter, cooler? We're not going to knock the competition, but you say, here's how. The lead in to this little script is, David, I'm so glad you asked. Here's how my program is different. So we can mentally rehearse that. David, I'm so glad you asked. Here's how my program is different than those 3 people you talked to this morning. And who'd like to go? So Kimberly wants to jump right in without even my prompting. All right, so.
I'm not exactly a wilting violet, if you didn't know.
No, you're ready to take the bull by the horns here. I'm ready. So we just had a great conversation, and your next line is, David, I'm so glad you asked. Here's how my program is different.
David, I am so glad you asked. I'm glad to learn about the others that you've met with, but let me assure you, here is how we are different and, might I say, unique from our competitors. Our competitors, number one, may not have the depth of industry expertise that we have, and that's very important for the type of programs that we're discussing. Number two, we not only are very skilled strategists, but we are also tacticians and will guide you basically right alongside you to meet your goals. And third, and most importantly, we will never, ever, ever stop working with you until you achieve your goals.
Wow, that's a little bit scary. It's like this is like stalking, like like the knock on the door at 2 a.m. Hi, you're still not making enough money. We will never, ever, ever stop until you get the result. That's pretty awesome. I like all those answers. Those are great.
But?
No, there's no but. Sorry. Yeah, no but. That was awesome. That was really good.
On our call on Tuesday, when one of my celebrations was that I had an opportunity to speak to the executive director of a state bar association, they already employ on a contract basis a law practice manager. And so this gentleman asked me how I and my firm were different from this woman. And this woman, she makes all the referrals out to the discipline experts,
yeah,
the videographer. I said, oh, no. We do all that. We bring that all under the same umbrella so our clients, the lawyers, can keep on practicing law because they don't want to do anything else but practice law.
We do all the work for you. We take all that on.
Yeah. So hopefully, I'm having a follow-up. Of course, I walked away with a proposal assignment. and I'm working on that. But that, to me, is a huge differentiator.
Well, just knowing, right, exactly. This is about knowing your differentiators. And again, it's not about just being different for the sake of being different. It's about what does that mean for the client, right? How is that distinction going to benefit the client or the audience? So really good. Who'd like to go next? Rocco, thank you. So not everyone is on the screen because we got kind of the scrolling thing. So if you're waving, go ahead and just use the chat window because I've got the chat window open. If you're waving on this other screen, I'm not going to see you waving. But Rocco, I happen to see because he was on my screen right here. So go ahead.
David, I'm so glad you asked. Here's how my program is different. I'm the only speaker whose problem-solving capabilities are informed by 20 years of business breakup litigation. At the end of my program, your audience will know how to identify red flags that their businesses are at risk for breaking up and have actionable ways to prevent it.
So that is a little bit more about your, so the first half I was buying, right? 20 years litigation frontline. I've been in the courtroom. I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. The back half, I mean, there are other family business type, rescue your family business and, all kinds of other consultants and attorneys that specialize in partnership law, family business, etc. So the back half of that wasn't really distinct for you. But let's dig in. Let's dig into what else would separate? Because again, I just talked to two other family business consultants. One guy was a lawyer, one guy wasn't, one was a CPA. They've all seen this kind of good, bad, ugly. They all say they have an actionable program. So I'm going to raise the bar just a little bit higher on yours, and it's probably about your law practice, frankly. Hint, hint. Have you had, for example, I'll give you a quick story. I was working with a CPA. CPAs are pretty boring, in case you guys don't know. And this CPA wanted to go out and start speaking to non-CPA audiences, to business audiences. And I said, okay, buddy, what do you got? And he said, well, it's I want to be proactive, not reactive. Great, you and every other CPA. Well, they get like a financial plan. We do forecasting. Yeah. You and every other CPA. And he was getting kind of pissed off, like, oh, God, this is hard. I said, give me your most outrageous client story. And of course, you ask a CPA for something outrageous, that's going to be like, okay. I said, no, give something wild that you've done. Some huge case, some huge success story, some impossible mission. As soon as I said impossible mission, he said, oh, I see what you mean. Well, a couple years ago, this guy came to me and he owed about $1.1 million of back taxes and he was about to go to prison. And he brought me his situation and he said, can you help? And so we looked at everything. We hired a couple of extra people. We worked some overtime. Not only do we keep this guy out of jail, not only do we have all charges dropped against him, we got him a $110,000 refund. I said, really? Well, how many other CPAs do you think could do that? He says, probably not many. I said, no, probably not that many. So you think you might want to use that story in your marketing? You think you might want to use that story on stage every time you give a speech? He's like, you think I should? I'm like, yeah, I think you should. So sometimes it's 80% of what we do is what we do. It's not sexy. It's not different. It's not, it's good, but it's not like, oh my God, all of this is revolutionary. By definition, none of us have a topic where 100% of what we do is completely revolutionary. But what's the layer? What's the distinction? What's the slant? What's the big, hairy 800-pound gorilla that you've tackled that very few other people have tackled? And that's what we bake in. Does anything come to mind, Rocco, in that category after that little rant on your behalf?
Yes, but I just want to preface this by saying something you just said, I don't know that's accurate for me. So I don't know anyone else who does exactly what I do. I think I've created a new industry or practice niche in this business divorce prevention. I don't know of anyone else who does it.
Well, so you're talking very literally, right? And that's a good thing. But as far as reasonable alternatives, I can go to all kinds of mediation. I can go to family business counseling. I can go to a psychotherapist. I mean, there's a lot of people that work with family businesses that are in distress or that have conflict. One brother's not talking to the other. The son is suing the dad. The mom died, and now there's a thing with the will of who gets what part of the business. I mean, there's all kinds of ugly, crazy nonsense out there. And there's an entire army of consultants and attorneys and people that work in this arena, maybe not exactly the way that you do it, but this is not about who else does it exactly the way that you do it. It's about what are the reasonable alternatives and the things that they might be looking for in addition to you. Okay,
so on the war story point, I had and this is one of the chapters in my book on silent partnerships, had a client who had a silent partner who was basically stealing from him and basically locked him out of accessing the company's valuable asset. And then we got her out of the company. We got a $2.6 million judgment against her. And we also, in response to that lawsuit, she started a defamatory letter campaign against my client, sending letters to his friends, family, business associates, his rabbi, calling him a Nazi, an anti-Semite, a murderer. So we got a permanent injunction muzzling her free speech rights, which was basically impossible to do. Like the court, I was surprised the court gave us.
I love that. Muzzling her free speech rights. That is fantastic. So it's stuff like that. So I'll give you one more example, and then we can kind of workshop this a little bit further. You can send it to me later. Another guy was a wills and estates guy. A wills and estates guy in California. And it was in Los Angeles. So, of course, what else is in Los Angeles? Hollywood is in Los Angeles. Just FYI. Geography update. This guy was like just dry as breadcrumbs. He was like blah, 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 blah. Think of like a, wills and estates and whatever guy. Until he said, now, wait a second. I'm here in Hollywood. I got a ton of, and this wasn't even his client stories. It was just, he was in Hollywood, and there's a ton of people that die in Hollywood, famous people, with either no will, a screwed up will, some crazy estate planning, lack of estate planning. So he started to research. He researched what happened to Marilyn Monroe, what happened to this one, what happened to Gregory Peck, what happened to, Prince, what happened to this one, what happened, musicians, TV people, movie stars, all kinds of, household names, basically. He started giving a speech, initially for free, at the Rotary, at the Lions Club, and he says, estate planning and having a will and having a really solid plan is really important. For example, let me tell you what happened to Marilyn Monroe. It's a crazy-ass story. Let me tell you what happened to Marlon Brando. Let me tell you what happened to this one. Let me tell you what happened to that one. Right now, so now he's got some of these case law kinds of things that he's getting. When Michael Jackson died, blah, 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 blah. And the story, so he was able to put a little humor in some of these stories and make it a little bit more colorful, even though he was a very dry, boring guy. And his business just took off like crazy. And everybody wanted to hear these Hollywood train wreck stories about not having a will, not having an estate, not having a game plan put together, or having outdated wills and things of this nature. And he got a ton of work because people thought that the stories were funny. They would come to the talks, they would listen to the talks, and they'd say, "Guy, wow, dude, I need your help." Because that whole Marilyn Monroe thing, that sounds like me. Michael Jackson, take away some zeros, and that sounds like me. And he was, again, small business, right? He wasn't selling Hollywood to Hollywood. He was in, greater Los Angeles area, dealing with small business owners, family business owners, and he just started telling these stories. Not a single one of the stories he was telling was about his client, because they were all famous people. And he never pretended they were his client. There was no lying. There was no deception involved here. But he just found a fantastic topic of like, let me tell you like 5 or 6 of these train wreck stories and then what you can do in your small business to prevent what happened to Prince and Michael Jackson and Marilyn Monroe and et cetera, et cetera. So maybe there's a way there to talk about some spectacular disasters, whether they're yours or not. And then you say, you know, unlike a lot of these family attorneys and family business mediation people, I've got engaging stories about 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And people leave not only kind of freaked out about their situation, but they leave also smiling and laughing and remembering what they need to do to make it better. So we don't just cause the freak out. A lot of people like me just come in and cause the freak out. I cause the freak out. I make them smile and I give them a game plan to fix the problems. So that might be a little twist that you adopt as well if you want to.
How long is that conversation though? Like, you know, is it a story or is it just what you said? Like, do I tell the story as part of that spiel?
No, it just I would say like it's a 2 to 3 minute thing that you're just saying, by the way, part of my presentation, you know, unlike, and here's the distinction phrase that we can all use, unlike most XYZ, unlike most marketing speakers, unlike most leadership speakers, unlike most people that do family law and family business law and mediation and things like that, I tell the story of boom, 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 and just name, you know, just kind of summarize and you don't tell the story, just describe the story in a couple sentences each. And then, but the payoff is not that, hey, I've got great stories. It's people leave not only freaked out, because a lot of my competition just comes in and freaks them out and, I'm in big trouble. But I also make them laugh and I make them think and we give them a game plan to fix the problems that they're freaked out about. So that's the audience-centric kind of tie-in. It's not about, I got great stories. It's, I got great stories so that your audience leaves with 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
Cool.
Thanks.
You bet. Nicolle wants to go next. So Nicolle, I am so glad you asked. Here's how my program is different.
Okay, here we go. David, I am so glad you asked. Here's how my program is different. Unlike most stress management speakers, I have experienced exactly how chronic stress can lead to serious health crises. Because the economic health of an organization is impacted by the occupational health of employees, I help employees navigate their wellness journey by addressing stress and its connection to one's physical, mental, and emotional well-being. Using 25 years in the field of educator, I will design and deliver presentations for the adult learner. Your employees will receive an interactive presentation that includes practical strategies that are easy to remember and even easier to implement.
Okay, that was a lot.
I know.
But it's okay. So you were going down one path and then you totally changed direction. You said, I have personally experienced blah, 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 blah. And then it was, you didn't tell the story of what you personally experienced, how you experienced it, what that cost your company, what that cost your career. And so when we have a personal backstory of how we came to do what we do, right? That is very important. I don't just talk about it, I've lived it. So that's where the intersection of your expertise with your experience. You say, I didn't just read a couple books, I lived this. I went through it. I struggled the struggles that your audience is having. I was out of work for 3 years. I had this horrible cancer diagnosis. I kicked cancer's ass and I came back stronger than ever. Here's what I learned. So you don't just focus on what did I do. You don't make yourself the hero of the story, right? We're the guide in the story. And so here's what I learned. Here's what I learned, and here's what your audience will get because of that. And a little more vernacular, a little less fancy words, a little more conversational. I would also put in kind of build-in breaks on this, right? So that we don't feel like we're getting this fire hose and we're being talked at, but I would have little conversational breaks. Does that sound like it's heading in the right direction? Oh yeah, Nicolle, that's great. Would you like to hear a little more? I would. And so the next thing is, do you think your audience might resonate with that? Oh, they would love it. Well, how do you think they'd respond to not just theory and, strategies, but actually leaving with a written plan to help them avoid getting stressed out and maxed out and sleep more and eat better and take better care of themselves so they can actually look forward to coming into work the next morning? Oh, that'd be fantastic. So again, it's just little interactive hooks. You don't need to, it's not a whole big dialogue, but leave breathing room for them to be in the discussion with you.
Okay.
So, a lot of times we're fire hosing people with just blah, 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 and the whole thing is to have a dialogue, not a monologue. Even though we do want to convey each of these points, but it's a more of an interactive conversation and not just a data dump while they're listening on the phone like this.
Okay. So talk a little bit more about my story. So maybe it should start with, I've experienced exactly how chronic stress can lead to a serious health crisis. You see, I'm a breast cancer thriver, and I don't want a diagnosis to serve as a wake-up call for your employees to start paying more attention to their health and wellness practices.
You got it. That's
okay.
it.
So that's a good beginning. So then do I?
Yeah. Well, and then the other thing, similar to Rocco, is the back half of that. Don't most health and wellness speakers cover that same territory? I mean, if you look at it in the cold light of day, isn't there some Nicolle magic that we haven't talked about what makes that kind of bread and butter program that you do uniquely yours?
Yes. And I think part of the fact that I have a background as a teacher, I understand how an adult learner, they learn differently than children. So because I'm speaking to adults, I need to factor that into my presentation. So that, I believe, is a benefit. And the fact that I've got this knack for acronyms, I believe that people want to make change, but they're so overwhelmed by the amount of change that they need to make that they take the default to do nothing. So if I can come up with a 4 or 5 point acronym that they can walk away with, then I believe that increases the likelihood that they'll not only remember it, but actually implement those strategies.
There you go. So I've never heard someone be proud of their knack for acronyms. Like, you know what? I have a superpower. It's a knack for acronym. I love it. Well, and again, what you got there is the very end of that so that they remember it and they implement it, right? So it's memorable and it's a program that sticks. It's a program that lasts. A lot of times we kind of come in, it washes over us in one ear, out the other, whatever. The way that you've designed your program, right, that speaks to the teacher, right? There's a design component to the way you're delivering your information geared with the adult learner in mind. Your program is much more likely to stick and much more likely to last. So that's how I'd reorient that. But that's great. I mean, that's exactly what to look at. The things that would add to your distinctions is, again, this is in the training, but now this is kind of how we live ammo, how this really comes to life, if you will, is a combination of your expertise, your experience, your background, your previous jobs, your previous careers, other expertise that you're layering on top of your main expertise, right? So when I said, for example, sales-driven marketing, it's like, ooh, that's like sales plus marketing on steroids. It's not just marketing hanging out by itself. There's a lot of people doing marketing just hanging out by itself. A lot of health and wellness speakers just reading out of a health and wellness book that have never been a teacher, have never lived it, have never experienced it, right? And so think about layers. How can you overlap the layers of who you are and what you do and where you've been and what you've done? Because that might be the rocket fuel for your true distinction. So, I teach it, I coach it, I've lived it, I've experienced it. This used to be my biggest problem, any of those things. So Jack and Dena, I'm sorry, I should know this. Did Jack spend some time as a financial advisor himself, or did you?
No.
Then
Well,
don't use that. Then don't use that. That's a terrible example then. But you see what I'm saying? Like if he had, then it would be like, listen, dudes, I've sat in your chair. I know how hard this is to keep a good team, especially a good team of young sales professionals, right? So, but again, if you have it, you flaunt it. If you don't have it, then obviously don't flaunt it. But it's things like that, obvious things that are probably right under your nose that you're not using in your distinctions because you think, oh, that's not important. Oh, everyone knows that. Everyone has that. I'm sure they don't care about that. And they do because it's value for the audience. It's value for the client. All right, let's do one or two more of these, then we'll get to our Q&A. Who else would like to do their distinction chat? Rad wants to do distinction, then Bob wants to do distinction, and then we'll wrap it up. Or we can do this again on Tuesday if you want to.
I was going to say, let's do it Tuesday.
Okay, this was so much fun. We're doing it again on Tuesday, kids.
Sorry, that was supposed to be inside voice. I'm not on mute.
This is really, really important. I'll tell you, because if you master this, every sales conversation from now on is going to be a walk in the park. It's going to be fun, easy, natural, organic. You're not going to be stressed about it because we're role-playing the most important part of it right here. Right here. So let's go to Rad first, then we'll go to Bob.
All right. Hi, Dave. David, I am so glad you asked. Let's see. Then we go. Unlike most leadership speakers, I base my talks on my past experience as a wildlife biologist working with animals such as grizzly bears and wolves. I frame my stories with natural truths that I found that parallel leadership lessons that we learn in the corporate world to those that are occurring in the natural world to bring home leadership lessons that are not only entertaining and inspirational, but will really teach your group how to naturally jive with each other and those people on their teams. I've also created a system called Animal Leadership and have a web page that serves as an ongoing resource to your people so that they have tools to instantly implement when they get back to the workplace.
Mic drop.
Oh,
mic drop. The only little bit of feedback is just a technicality, which is leave that breathing room in there. But I mean, you guys heard the specificity. You heard the client-centric value, right? They get this, they get that. I've got the website for the follow-up, for ongoing repetition, etc. Based on my system, right? Based on my system called Animal Leadership. He drops in grizzly bears, he drops in lions and leopards, and God knows what else was in there. And it sounded fascinating. It sounded completely like, oh, this guy's cool. This is awesome. This is different, right? So cool, awesome, and different, that's what you want going in their head. It's like, yeah, oh, wow, yeah, that's cool, that's awesome, that's different. Not gimmicky, right? I bring in dancing elephants. No, right? It's relevance with intrigue, relevance with specificity about, well, number one, anytime I have a system, right? And so Nicolle, going back to you for a quick second, rather than I have a knack for acronyms, call it a system, right? I have developed systems, named systems, systems that have labels, kind of fun names, that people can pick up and implement those tools right away. Because it's a system, it's not just a tactic. So there's another distinction for everybody, right? I'm not just gonna throw a bunch of grab bag tactics at you. I have a system. And if you have a book or if you have a methodology like Rad has Animal Leadership, he needs to talk about, I have a system that delivers boom, 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 and boom, right? And then there's value add, there's after the event, all of those things. Really well done, really well done. Great job.
Thank you. Thanks.
And let's go to Bob. Bob is glad I asked. He is glad that I asked. I just talked to Shep Hyken this morning. I talked to some other customer service people. I love them all. I like Shep better because he's got less hair than I do. But besides that, Bob, how is your program different?
David, I'm glad you asked. My program is different because the customer service system that I developed and used for each of the 7,500 events that I created in the 20 plus years of experience. I lost myself here.
That's all right. we're doing freeze frame. So it's like when you're ready, just pick it up from there.
So, okay, so this customer service system is one that I have, developed and used for each of the 7,500 events over the last 20 years. What that means for you is that this program has been tested and it lasts.
Cool. What's the program called?
It is delivering the black tie customer experience.
So like right there, like when you have a system like Rad has animal leadership, you definitely want to bring in black tie customer service. So if you have a brand, right, and so, well, how are you different, right? So I can't get animal leadership from anyone else other than Rad. Otherwise they'll get sued and there's a restraining order and the whole thing. I can't get black tie customer service from anyone except Bob. Good news is that you guys can't get the speaker profit formula from anyone except me. So having a proprietary system is a huge distinction. So don't be shy about dropping that name in.
Got it.
Right? And then I love the 7,500 over 20 years. What else about, so think about a metaphor or an analogy. Black tie comes from what?
Well, it was the uniform that my staff wore, but it became the mindset.
And it was in a fancy high-end restaurant or hotel?
I'm sorry?
It was in a fancy high-end restaurant or hotel?
High-end event and catering.
Okay. And you're marketing this to folks in that industry specifically?
Well, that industry, healthcare, really mid-market companies.
Okay. So if I'm talking to a hotel client, I would say every single day, someone is walking into your properties, walking onto your properties, and it is their first experience with your brand. Everything needs to be at its highest, at its best. Every new customer, every new guest coming in, they need to be wowed. It needs to be a black tie experience, even if it's breakfast time or the middle of the day, right? So this is kind of like, oh yeah, shit, he's right. You know, it's like, oh yeah, no, our good concierge is off today, and so you get like the mediocre concierge. Well, it's someone's first day on that property. If that concierge screws up their jet ski thing, right, your hotel sucks now, right? Your restaurant's terrible. My first visit to your emergency room, God forbid, my first visit to your emergency room, oh yeah, no, Susie's awesome, but you know, Jill is filling in and Jill's kind of like, that's, you know, that's my first experience with your thing. So the whole black tie thing, maybe the distinction or the analogy or the metaphor is the first visit is the most important visit. And guess what? Your properties, your organization has tens of thousands of first visits every single day. And if you're not managing that, if you are not optimizing that, you are losing business. And so that might be, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but maybe that's part of the message, right? That's why black tie service needs to be a 24/7, always on capability.
Right.
Bob is now writing this down. Black tie service needs to be a 24/7, always on capability. It does, right?
No, you're right. Well, and one of the questions I ask in my seminars is that I ask people, do you want to just be good enough, or do you want to be black tie?
Right. And then having that, that's exactly what I meant by like a metaphor or a model of how do we compare. You know, good enough looks like this, black tie looks like that. When you bring me in, your members, your audience, your team, they learn how to do that as an always on 24/7 permanent capability.
Got it.
Yep. That's what we want.
Right. Thank you.
Very, very good. Lisette, you had either a question or you typed something in the chat. So we don't use the hand raising thing. I realize it's your first week, so it's like, well, the hand raising thing's not working. But in the chat window, did you have a question for us?
No, I was just gonna. I'm getting a lot out of this, and I really appreciate it. And I was gonna kind of share. I just dropped my book, kind of where I am with things,
Great.
And so let me make sure I'm on the right page.
I'm doing sexual harassment. So for me to say I experienced it, I'm like, 1 in 3 people have experienced it. So that doesn't make me particularly unique. But I'm glad you asked, David, is here's how my program is different. I guide employees to explore belief systems that are rooted and transform perspectives to create a culture of respect. And now this is like, I'm just going to say it's two modules.
Right.
So I want to
2 days from Tuesday to Thursday. Here's what I got.
Right, exactly. So I have all these experts now. So
that's right.
That's why I want to go, because I want to hear.
So you want to like fast track this puppy ASAP.
Amen. Yes.
Is what you want to do. Okay. So I would just like we've said with a lot of other folks here, and again, this is very common, try and avoid those $5 words, like the big, the fancy words. So go ahead and give that to me again, and let's see if we can do a little kind of word replacement for you.
Yeah. Guide employees, explore deeply rooted belief systems, transform perspectives, create a culture.
Okay.
So that's all the
I don't think any prospect has ever talked about their deeply rooted belief systems.
Which is
so it is. Well, and also strategically, we're not going to argue the topic necessarily. Some of this is just like, bad, stupid people who were not raised well by their parents. And some of it was unintentional stupidity about not having good boundaries in the workplace. But you want to cover both.
Yeah, so you're okay. I've stumped the.
Yeah, well, so I'm just trying to, because this is tricky, right? Because both it's like a 2-layer enchilada, right? Clearly, the behavior is unacceptable, and when someone raises their hand and go, "Yeah, we need that," you're like, "Oh, you're a toxic cesspool of sexual harassment." Sure, great. So it's like you have to make it kind of nice, and then the zinger needs to come underneath, because it's like, oh no, yeah, we're totally bringing you into IBM because we got sexual harassment out the wazoo here. It needs to be, it's kind of like the client, the end client, the buyer needs to be seen as the hero for bringing you in without saying all my people are scumbags. All my people are scumbags, all of them.
They're all required to do compliance training though.
Sure.
So I'm trying to come at it. I want to make your HR job easier, that you don't have it on the back end. So we're going to do prevention on the front end.
Okay, that makes sense.
So that the compliance, instead of being a compliance trainer, I want to talk about sort of where this comes from and how to prevent it before it is an issue and a liability so it's a different approach to compliance training. Like, we're not going to just talk about the rules. We're going to talk about why the rules are important to you, Mr. Employee or Miss Employee.
Right. And I saw Rad had his hand, and he gave you a great comment there in the chat window as well, is about the sexual harassment can be coming in before anyone risks taking it too far, right? So if they need that reminder of kind of, by the way, gang, here's the boundaries, here's what's cool, here's what's not cool, here's the rules of the road, that is, that would be a value proposition of one kind. And you're so far you're in module 2?
Just finished, yes, last night.
Watching it or actually doing the work and doing some of the writing and some
a little bit of both.
A little bit of both. So what I would do is, I think in your case, kind of generating almost like free writing some of this language would be very, very helpful. That starts with the 7 buyer persona questions. Because again, what do they hate about sexual harassment training? What do they want? What do they need? What have they tried before? Why hasn't that worked? What do they, at the end of the day, what's the kind of the talk track that's going through their mind? Unspoken, but under the waterline. And then, of course, the pain gain factors about after Lisette leaves the building, what do they get, right? They got pains, problems, heartaches, headaches, challenges. If they didn't have those, what would the world look like if those things were solved? And how, like you said a moment ago, HR headaches, compliance headaches, lawsuits, PR disasters, all of these things could be looming, but how do we artfully articulate that in short, concise, plain English sentences? So it's not a language problem right now. I think right now it's simply a clarity problem of how do we make this not, I'm raising my hand, I'm bringing you in because we're a terrible company with a toxic culture. So again, not that places like Uber don't need you, places like Uber do need you, but they're so unself-aware that they're not the ones that are going to raise their hands. All of the good guys and good gals, they're going to raise their hands going, yeah, this better not happen here. And
that's what I want. Those are the customers I want anyway, because I'm not going to hear the Ubers.
Exactly right.
I want people to have some buy-in.
Totally right. Totally right. So just workshop that a little bit using the templates and the exercises, free write some of that, and then I think you'll nail it pretty quickly given the guidelines we talked about today.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Excellent. All right, let's go to our questions. So we've got Kip and Kimberly and Nicolle. And Kip says, does it make sense to add an information ribbon at the bottom of both pages of the reasons to hire? So all of your collateral material should always have your email, website, and phone number. Never make it hard to get in touch with you. Some people put it in the header. Some people put it in the footer. Doesn't really matter. But whether looking at the front or the back, right, usually we have like the call to action on the back of page 2.
Right.
It's a 2-pager. I would put it front, top, or bottom. You don't need both, but always have the contact information. Because here's what will happen. Sometimes they photocopy it. Sometimes they scan it. Sometimes they email it to themselves and go, oh, I forgot to scan the back. And now they don't have your number. They don't have your website. They don't have your email. So, assume people are dummies and just give that contact information as on everything that you send to them. It should be obvious.
Right. Great. Also, would you repeat the way you want questions other than here submitted to you that goes to your all of you?
Sure. So document review is into the support email. So your one sheet and your reasons to hire get emailed to support@doitmarketing.com. If you have a question that is specific to our call, right, that's what Morgan posts every Tuesday.
The first one's what I meant.
That's type form. And if you have a question for your peers, because all kinds of beautiful smart cookies in here, question for your peers, post that in the Facebook group. Teresa might chime in, I might chime in, but the reason you're posting in the group is to get feedback from your colleagues, not necessarily feedback from us. Anything where you want feedback from us should go to support@doitmarketing.com because then all of our eyeballs are on it and we can get to it quicker.
That's the one I didn't remember.
Except when Teresa's on vacation.
Got it.
She's not allowed to ever take vacation again. I will make sure about that. Again, Kimberly's asking on the document specific, what exactly? So Allison rewrites them, revises them, does her magic. She whips them into shape. She transforms them from good to like crazy awesome. That's what she does. All right. So Kimberly's question is LinkedIn connection. Send me some information without tipping her hand as to what she needs. When I asked for a conversation, so I can, she pushed back. I prefer to see some materials before deciding to make sense. Our firm receives many informational requests. You know what I would do with this one?
What?
Nothing.
Nothing.
They're not worthy. So right away, when I see a message like this, and thank you for taking the time to copy this in, the word that's flashing in my mind with a big red neon sign is vendor. Vendor. She's looking at us like a vendor. It's like, yeah, well, what do you have in mind? Send me something. Send me a proposal. Send me a spec sheet. Send me a product sheet. Dude, we're not selling water purification in here. This is not a water purification system. I'm not selling you a phone system, right? The water people, sorry guys, they're vendors. The phone system, they're vendors, right? We're trusted advisors.
Right. So
it's like, send me something blind. It's like, and what, I wouldn't just ignore it. I would say, dear Deborah, that's not how it works. I totally appreciate you not wanting to waste your time. Thanks for your reply. And you're out. It's the old takeaway. takeaway, right? I'm not talking to you. Fine. I'm not talking to you. I'm not playing your vendor game. So this kind of prospect will never be a good client. So we had someone graduate last, I guess she left in November, and she's still in the alumni group, and she's a great human being. She works on culture and engagement. I think I may have told this story before, but it's worth repeating. She said, David, I reached out to a guy on LinkedIn. Okay. And he responded, and we had a call, and I was talking about engagement and performance and results and blah, blah, blah. And this guy says to me, you know, I really don't want to have a culture of engagement. You know what I really want? What I really want is I want for my people to sit down, shut up, do what they're told, and do it the first time.
Wow.
So then she comes on to a call. She goes, I don't think my topic is good. I don't think I'm hitting the right nerve in the marketplace because this guy said that we don't want engagement. We want shut up, sit down, do what you're told, and do it the first time. I said, okay, let's unpack that for a minute. Based on what he shared with you during that investigative call, would you have wanted to do work with this person and their company? She goes, oh, no, toxic cesspool. I said, okay. Do you think this person has the right mindset to benefit the most from your programs and your content? No, he wouldn't listen to a word of it. After the second or third question, I said, well, here's the clue. That guy's not your prospect. She says, really? I said, yeah, really. You know, I want chocolate. No, we have strawberry over here. Well, okay, but I said I want chocolate. Right, not my customer, right? I'm in the strawberry business. So I go and I find the next person who loves strawberry ice cream. I'm not going down the chocolate ice cream path. Not my client, not my monkeys, not my circus. So this is classic like vendor purchasing BS. Throw her back in the water. Not worthy.
Thank you.
Not worthy. So Nicolle says, my website hasn't been updated because I plan to use information from my 2 documents. Until this happens, how do I handle it? No, under construction is not great. Information on contacting association. Didn't find it there. So is that 2 questions? Unpack both those questions for me. So question 1 is about the website. What's on the website now if I go to Inspired by Nicolle? Is not up to date?
Oh, there's something there, but it doesn't really at this point reflect that my focus has shifted from health and wellness in general to specifically stress and stress management. So if you were to plug it in now, like it's not real quick, so it's not going to load for like 30 seconds or 40 seconds, which I know is a deal breaker right there.
Right.
But I didn't want to make changes to it until I had gotten involved with the program.
So here's what I would do. I would do, and you can do this with lead pages or Unbounce, or there's a whole bunch of kind of landing page creators that you can do very quick, kind of a quick and dirty do-it-yourself page that looks very professionally put together. Just build a landing page. Because if your website's a hot mess right now, you don't want people going there and go, wow, this person's a hot mess. You don't want the under construction, because that's from like 1997 is the under construction page. I'm not sure if anyone even does that anymore. I mean, do people do that under construction? That reminds me of like 1997 because, crazy. But lead pages or Unbounce or some of these kind of quick landing page builders, you can make it look really sharp. You can put the exact language in. You can publish it, and it's up online in minutes, and that's a good placeholder.
Okay.
What's your plan for building out the full website? Do you have a good resource for that, or do you need a name or something?
A name would help. And I'm very much a technological dinosaur, so I mean, I can't even handle the lead pages that you speak of. I'm going to have to find a 2-year-old to help me.
Find a 2-year-old. Well, we may be able to help you. Maybe Sam can do some magic behind the scenes here. We'll see if we can help you out. So the website company that I've sent a lot of our clients to, and we have no financial relationship, there's no kickbacks, there's no funny business, is my friend Adam Nichols, who runs a company called Markations. And I just put Markations in the chat window for you, and I will give you his name. And this is for everybody. If you want to get in touch with him, it's a Nichols@markations.com. And so that's his email address, and he does great work, and he is very cost effective. I know that how about a $15,000 website? It's like, nah, we're good. It's nothing like that. It's very, very cost effective. And it depends on what you want and how fancy. So it starts from not fancy at all to, medium fancy, maybe even on the fancy side if you want to kind of go crazy. But no one here needs fancy. No one here even needs.
Right now, start with the lead page.
Yeah, start with the super simple. Super simple.
Great.
All right. And then what was the second half of your question?
I was looking for the associations, and you said last week that it was module 5. I didn't find it in module 5. I think I saw it in module 4 as a part of the 10 by 10 by 10 by 10.
Yeah, the strategic prospecting. Yeah, so that's how to do the Google searches, how to surface all those associations and groups and all the adjacent associations, and how to find the 50 states from the national, how to follow the breadcrumb trail.
Right.
With those associations. Yeah, I'm sorry. So it's in 4.
Okay, because I did a Google search on like health and wellness conferences, and I started getting things that don't apply to me at all. So I'm thinking my search is too broad. I need to narrow that down as well.
Yeah, well, and remember, there's all the variations, right? So it's health conference, health and wellness conference, health and wellness conference 2017 to find the past ones, health and wellness conference 2018 or 2019 to find the future ones. Health and Wellness Conference PDF to see if you can suck down some of the program books and some of the brochures that they have. So all kinds of variations on those Google searches that I talk about in the training, that will give you a real good snapshot very quickly of what's going on in that industry as far as the meetings and events.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Anything else for anyone else? Any other questions? Anything else I can help with? Dena.
Okay, so I changed my mind. I quick looked up the why hire. We'll take a stab at it.
Well, this is for a document review?
No, this was the verbal, the why hire.
I'm glad you asked.
Yeah.
I'm glad you asked. Sure, hit it.
Okay. So I'm so glad you asked. Our program is different because Jack is not a sales trainer. He's a behavioral expert, which means he knows what makes people tick and what it's really going to take for your new recruits to develop the outgoing, entrepreneurial, and the persistent behaviors needed to weather their early growing pains and build their book of business so that ultimately they succeed and stay in place.
Fantastic. So let's do a quick jargon check because I think everyone heard some jargon, but that is A-OK. Book of business, right? That's jargon. No, that's their vocabulary, right? So book of business, when you're talking to a financial advisor or an insurance agent, book of business, that they live, breathe, eat that. They love that. That's their favorite term. They're bragging about their book of business. At some point, they're going to retire and sell their book of business. So that's the difference between using prospect language versus jargon. Right? If they use that term, they love that term, they eat that for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, it's not jargon to them. It's not jargon to them. I'll tell you what else I liked about it, and then one add-on, here's the aha, Jack's not a sales trainer. It's like, whoa, the room starts spinning, right? It's like, wait a second, what do you mean, right? Behavior expert, right? The thing I would add on to that, and here's the kicker, it's not sales training, but it makes any sales training that you've already invested in much more effective. So you're telling them that it's a supplement and a complement, right? It's not sales training, it's behavior, right? How to use human behavior to your advantage. And it takes any sales training that you've already invested in, because some have and some haven't. By the way, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. If you want some sales training, Jack can probably help you more than a sales trainer, but that's a sidebar. It's not sales training, but it will take any sales training that these folks have already had and make it much more effective. Again, it adds the human dimension and the human behavior dimension to those external scripts and talking points that they picked up in the sales training.
Cool. Thank you.
Now you're like a force multiplier, right? What you're not becomes an advantage. It's like, oh, is he a sales trainer? No, he's not a sales trainer. Sales trainers a dime a dozen. What? Screw the sales trainers. This is 10 times more effective than sales training. And it is. It is, by the way. So that's great. Really well done. I would just use that, and you're off to the races.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Excellent. All right, team. Well, great to talk to you. More on Tuesday. Remember, the Facebook group is there for you. The recording will be there for you. And if you have documents, send those to support@doitmarketing.com. We'll get those back to you ASAP. And have a great weekend. All right. Thanks, team. Bye-bye.